time to figure out a new dance routine that's apparently very dangerous.
Very dangerous.
Very dangerous. You will get hurt doing this.
Duh.
But you know what you won't get hurt doing?
Listen to this podcast.
There you go. This podcast will not injure you in the slightest. Guarantee. This podcast has been injury-free for 19 weeks. And we're going to keep it that way. Hello, welcome to this week's episode of Jared Now Want to Love Life Sunshine. It is episode 19. I'm Jared, that's Ann Ladium.
Hi.
And we are here to talk to you about season 2, episode number 6. It's called Aqua Wave.
We're going to do the wave.
We're going to do the wave. Whoa.
Whoa. Clearly, none of us know how to do the wave. Neither of us are good at this. Wait, apparently, our interpretation of the wave is whoa.
I have done the wave before. Thank you very much. I'm an expert.
We're white. Of course we've done the wave.
It's very true.
My God.
So, I believe we start this episode with the fact that we find out where the Love Live regional preliminaries are going to be held. Which apparently it's the same place as it was last year.
Wow, surprise.
Very, very shocking news, apparently. Also, the third years are getting very concerned because the deadline for having 100 prospective students is closing in, and they are not necessarily near their goal. I believe at this point they are at 57 of 100. That is 57%, if you're keeping track at home. And that is not 100 students.
And not enough to keep the school open.
Exactly. Also, they read this little, preview article thingy that's like, hey, we're going to talk about all the groups that are at the Love Live Regionals and what we think about what they're going to do. And it's like, talks about, all the teams that, or all the groups that made nationals. Like, yeah, these are expected to continue on. And then they find one about them. They're like, oh, well, what do they got to say about us? And it's like, well, last year they kind of, they failed out at regionals, but at the qualifiers they seemed really in sync and in tune. Like they were a well-oiled machine. Like this is a team that is probably going to make it to nationals.
Yeah, they basically say they're one to watch.
Yeah, one to look out for. Aqours. But of course they're still like, hey, that's great and all, but if we're not able to get all these prospective students in, is it all going to be worthwhile?
Well, and also they talk about the catch in the sense that a lot of the voting is done by the schools, and that the schools with higher populations obviously have a better chance at winning. Mm-hmm. And they're like, we have 60 students. So we're at a huge disadvantage, and so we have to do something that will make us stand out even further. Yeah. So the idea of trying to figure out something that might stand out even further comes up with the third years. Dum dum dum.
Dun dun dun. So we get some mini third year drama for a tiny bit. The third years all meet later in the night, and they're like, okay, so what are we going to do? And they realize that Kanon has been looking at their old dance routine notebook and has been kind of thinking about the routine that basically caused them to break up.
Yep.
But she's also thinking hey, we can't necessarily thrust this upon everyone. We know this is a dangerous routine. If it would be selfish of us to just push this onto everyone and make them do it when we couldn't do this. And Kanon basically is it comes to the conclusion of we shouldn't do this, and goes to chuck the notebook into the water, and then Bari's just no, jumps up on the railing and dives in after it.
Comes up with it, holds it up and then swims over. Daya goes to pick her up out of the water, and she's like, that was a good jump.
Good jump, bro.
Which, I mean, she's not wrong. It was a really good jump.
It was. So basically, the Mari and Dai are like convince Kanan to be like, "Hey, look, we're a group of 9 now. We're not just a group of 3. And if anyone could probably figure this out, it would be Chica. Like, why don't we just let her take this and give her the shot at this?" So meanwhile, Chica is on the phone with Sarah of Saint Snow, and they're having a conversation about, what makes school idols special, essentially, and what made like all the earlier groups so successful. And the way they set the scene up is like, oh, you can tell it's where Saint Snow is because it's snowing.
It's snowing.
It's snowing. And then after that conversation, Chica brings us back up at practice of like, okay, what sets us apart from everyone else? And like, they try to talk about like, oh, we're trying to find our radiance. That's the whole thing, right? And they're like, well, is that it? And this is the point where Mari and Daya bring up the routine. And Kanan's still not necessarily on board with it, but she's willing to give Chica the opportunity to do it, even though she's like, hey, this sucks. Like,
and she's like, it's super hard. I was the one who did this last time, and the person in the middle has to be good at it. And Chica's like, what, you think I can't do it? I can do this. I can do anything.
Yeah.
I'm Chica.
So Chica's like, yeah, let's do this. So we basically get a lot of like different little montages of Chica trying to figure out this move. We see her in the gym, falling on her butt. Like in the gym, like she has like this big padding out and just like falling onto it constantly. And afterwards she's like monologuing about, oh, we have all the support of the school. We'll be fine. Just standing there. And then a lot of it is like her at the beach just trying to figure this move out. Mm-hmm. And you start to see her getting like more and more bandaged up, starting to get more and more frustrated as she keeps trying to do this. And like at one point, it is like Rico and Yo like are there watching her, and then Kanan's there as well. And Kanan's kind of like, are either of you going to go up to her and be like, hey, you should stop this? And they're like, nope, because she would not listen to us.
And so Kanan decides that she's going to ultimatum it.
Mm-hmm. So yeah, she basically is like, hey, figure this out, or if you don't, we're scrapping this whole thing. We'll come up with something else. And basically, Chica has to figure this out by morning, or else like that's it, it's done. Yep. And essentially, this puts Chica into like, oh, you don't think I can do this? Well, you, I'm going to figure this out mode. Which is
basically
real good.
The best way to get Chica to do something is to tell her she can't do it.
Yeah, and she's like, oh, okay, yeah, sure, I can't do this, huh? Yeah. So like we follow that up with like, I think it's Rico like looking out her window later in the night, and she spots one of Chica's sisters, and one of her sisters is like, hey, fancy seeing you here. Chica said she was going to go get some more practice in. So Rico goes down to the beach, and Yo's already there, like, watching. And like I think like Yo's like, hey, like I would have told you she was here, but she didn't want anyone else knowing because of fear of people coming and trying to stop her. And Rico's like, yeah, that makes sense.
That's Chica.
So they just continue to watch her try and basically continually failing about this. And
like at one point, everybody else starts to get bandages, even though they're not doing anything.
Yeah.
And I didn't understand that at all. But anyway, continue.
The formation just beats everyone up.
And, except for when we actually learned the formation, we realized that there's no way that it would.
Drama, though. So Chica keeps failing and failing and failing. Around this time, like, the rest of the group just shows up. And also, Chica has become, like, immensely frustrated. She's like, I don't understand why I can't do this. Like, I should be able to do this. If I can't do this, like, how are we going to fix this? What are we going to do? And essentially, she feels like she's letting everyone down if she can't do this. And Rico and Yo are like, yo, you're not letting us all down if you don't do this. Like, come on. It's fine. And then we get the return of the normal monsters.
Yep.
Pew, pew, pew. as Rico and Yo basically do that, and essentially just like are telling her like, hey, like you believe in everyone else, but like you need to believe in yourself as well. Like you keep talking about how, you know, everything's for the good of the group, you're going to help everyone out, and that's great and all, but at some point you need to really
Let me turn Cece off. Hold on, Cece. You'll have to do this in a little bit, buddy.
I was like, what is it? Is she running water or something?
No, it's Cece.
Oh, this is going to be weird to splice together.
Yeah, sorry.
But yeah, like Chica is feeling real depressed, and Rico and Yo are just like, hey, you know, you're great at bumping us all up. You're great at bringing us all together. But who's the one person that actually did bring us all together? Who's the one person that got us into this group? Who's the one person that made us into school idols? And like, it's you. You're the one who did this. Like, have some faith in yourself. You can do this. And you're going to knock it out of the park. So she gets that pep talk. And then basically, this is when it shows like the rest of the group like giving her like moral support as well, and also like showing that like they've been kind of beat up as well throughout this. And then she goes to do it one more time, and then it like cuts into like the actual performance. So you kind of presume that like she pulls it off.
Mm-hmm.
But we go into the performance of Miracle Wave, which is their regional performance for Love Live. And the big thing that she's been trying to do is this like handspring backflip.
Yep.
Which, granted, is a hard thing to pull off.
It is. It's really, really tough. And so, like, I understand. I can't do it. I've tried to do it. I can't do it. But, like, it's not what I was expecting at all from the rest of the episode. Because, like, I expected something that, one, involved everybody. Because, like, Mari had a twisted ankle because of it before, but she wasn't the one that was doing the actual handspring. So, like...
Well, I think they basically... kind of try to put that down to like Mari was lagging behind for some reason and like her dancing, so she overtrained herself, and that's how she injured herself.
But then can you blame that formation?
Good question.
So this episode, like, it was good in some parts, and then some parts I was just like, this doesn't make a whole lot of sense. But I mean, like, this was just not what I was expecting. I was expecting some kind of like involvement with everybody, and didn't really exist. But the handspring was inspirational. She did it. Yay.
I mean, for the most part, like, there is like these plot holes here and there in this episode, but like I think it's really good for Chica development too, just for her, because she is very much focused on like, hey, help other people, that sometimes she does forget, like, hey, sometimes you need to help yourself too.
Right. And she needs to like realize that, like, Chica, you're also awesome. And
yeah, exactly.
She often forgets that. And there was one part where they basically say, like, that's the end of the normal monster. Now we just have Chica.
Yeah.
That was nice.
I was literally just about to say that too, so.
Nice.
So yeah, that's the performance is how we end this episode of the regional prelims. We did a backflip.
Outfits.
Those outfits are real cool.
I like them a lot.
They got personalized jackets. It's rad. Let's talk about some notes.
And their letter for the first name is on there as well.
It's true.
On the skirt.
We didn't even talk about the best part of this episode.
Uh-oh.
The very beginning, when they're in the practice room, where they're once again, like, they're trying to figure things out, and then Yoshiko's like, "It is now time for the era of darkness," and Rico gets up and like mimics her, and then Yoshiko's like, "Ha ha!" And everyone's like, "What are they doing?"
When did they become such close friends?
And this is when Yoshiko calls her Lily or Riri in the Japanese dub, which is real good. And then we get welcome to the zone.
Welcome to the zone.
It's fantastic.
So good.
My favorite part about the Japanese dub is that Yoshiko just says that in English.
Does she really?
Yeah.
Oh my
real
God.
good.
I'll have to look that up when we're finished with this.
So that's one part of the notes. There is one continuity error that says it is unclear how Chica actually learned the backflip from the third year's notebook despite its soaked condition. Which maybe it's just like, hey, the third year's told her this.
Yeah. Well, and I don't know, maybe like they wrote it in permanent pen. I don't know.
Something like that, yeah. That's easily fixable. And then continuity notes, like we talked about, Rico and Chica call back to the normal monster from Next Step and I Want to Shine, now with Yo added.
Yep.
So we got a big thing. The Love Live regionals are done. And next episode we will get the results of that, and also see if their effort was enough to save the school. So that'll be next time we talk about Season 2, Episode 7, entitled The Time Left. Do they have enough time left to do this? So that's going to do it for this episode. If you'd like more from us, go to seasonallycheckup.com or sec.cool, where you can find past episodes of this podcast and other podcasts like the Seasonally Checkup and Seasonally Checkup OVA. And you can find columns and reviews on the site as well. If you would like more from Ann Ladium, go to annladium.com. She's got columns and reviews. If you want to follow us on Twitter, twitter.com/animecheckup. It's where we do Twitter. So yeah, let's. It's finally time to figure out if they'll save the school or not.